Rev up your engines! You're gonna learn the truth about Mitsubishi Outlanders today. Now this is a used one the guy bought. And there are actually quite a few reasons why you might want to buy a used Mitsubishi Outlander. He paid $6 grand for it 120,000 miles ago. Okay? 40-something thousand miles on it. Right? If you're going to look at a Toyota like this with 40-something thousand miles, it's not going to be $6 grand. It's going to be 26 grand or whatever, right? Got a 4-cylinder engine, but it does have those horrible CVT transmissions. Now, he replaced the CVT transmission at 46,000 miles, but he got lucky. He found one of these schools and they had a really nice one. The transmission, 120,000 miles later, it's still running. We'll see how it feels when we road test it. But like I said, you would spend a small fortune if you bought a Toyota or a Honda SUV of this size that only had 40-something thousand miles in. So in this case, sometimes, yeah, you're gonna pay for a little problem, but look at the money you're saving. Now we look under the hood. This is what you want to do with a Mitsubishi. This particular one being a 2013. Back in those days, you had a choice of this 2.4 liter 4-cylinder, which is a decent engine, or a V6 engine. They're actually decent engines, but if you don't want to mess with this crappy CVT transmission, and he admits probably another 20,000 miles will go out again, I'll have to replace it. Back in the day, these things had V6 engines as an option. The V6 engine came with a 6-speed actual automatic transmission with gears. They were decent transmissions. So, if you're looking at a used one, it would behoove you to get the V6 just to get that 6-speed automatic. Now today, the 2025s, unfortunately you can't do that. They only have the 4-cylinder with a CVT, same as this, or you can get a plug-in hybrid, which of course has an electric CVT transmission. And the thing is, this is why I tell people, if you're looking at these Mitsubishi Outlanders, or basically any Mitsubishi, think used. Because today, the base price of one of these with the 4-cylinder non-hybrid is a little bit more than the base price of a Toyota RAV4. Come on now. And if you go the PHEV plug-in hybrid, this it's the same price as a plug-in hybrid RAV4. Now, of course, I tell people, if you're buying brand new, I think it's stupid anyways, you waste your money on it. But if you're one of those people, you got to buy new. And let's face it, if you're going to buy a Toyota, maybe it'll last 300,000-400,000 miles. You get your money's worth, right? But if you're going to buy new, you'd be a fool to buy one of these new. Get a Toyota, right? But at the same time, you look at 4 or 5-year-old Toyota RAV4, sky high. This was $6,000 with 40,000 miles on it. Sometimes looking around pays off. Now this guy looked over a whole bunch, 5 or 6 states to even find this, because of course they don't sell as many of these. When they sold one year 30,000 of these, Toyota sold 200,000 RAV4s. So yes, they're a lot harder to find, but if you take your time, look inside. J, it's made in Japan. The Japanese make excellent vehicles in Japan. And this one was made in Japan. That's a big deal if you're looking at any of these. Look, see if the first number's J for Japan. It says made in Japan. We look inside. Yeah, the seats are worn, but they're fabric seats. So they held up pretty good. If they were leather, they'd be all cracked. The dash is held up. You can see they got space to put their dog, and of course, tons of room in the back. A lot of room in one of these things. I say, other than the CVT transmission, which is a weakness, you're gonna buy a Mitsubishi, try to get one that doesn't have a CVT transmission in it. Now the owner says it has a check engine light on, but it's been on for 2 years, right? And this is Tennessee, where we don't do any kind of testing of the car, so it runs okay, drives around. But let's get our scan tool out, try to figure out what's going on there. So we're gonna try this new scan tool out that just came. It's a new company. They design them in the United States. They make them in China. Let's see how it works. And like any scan tool, and turn the key on. We're watching, like any scan tool that isn't my super expensive $5,000 one, they're relatively slow to come up. Took a little while to get going, but you gotta expect that. So let's do the diagnostics here. We'll do the VIN number. Oh, that was pretty quick. It's an Outlander 2013, 2.4 cylinder, stupid CVT 4-wheel drive transmission. Confirm, and we'll diagnose it. Well, look, the headliner's still in decent shape. Yeah, it's dirty and stuff because people hit it, but it isn't broken. It's not sagging. Now, it's nice for a small scanner like this. It's doing an actual topology scan, so pretty interesting software. You see, you find a few little problems here and there. We'll start at the top. It's got P0420. P0420 generally means your catalytic converter is running at an inefficient rate. Now it runs fine, it gets the same gas mileage that every guy. He's actually even changed the oxygen sensors a few times. It made no difference because, see, it's not the sensors that are bad. They're reporting the information to the computer, and they're saying that the catalytic converter is bad. Well, that it's below 95% efficiency, right? Now, in this case, obviously the sensors aren't giving wrong information. They're saying that it's inefficient, and it probably is because it's an old car. It's got 153,000 miles on it. A lot of miles, and it's going to be worn. Now, again, this car lives in Tennessee. He's been driving it this way for years. If you live in a state that does emissions testing, you'd have to fix it. You'd probably have to replace the catalytic converter. Now, you could try some of Bernie's ATS fuel cleaner. Sometimes that'll clean them out. You never know. I mean, it's got a lot of miles. It's probably flat worn out, but it runs good enough. If you do have a really bad catalytic converter, you're going to notice two things. One, your temperature gauge will start to go higher. Instead of being in the middle, maybe it'll run 3/4 or higher because the heat builds up because it can't blow out of the converter that's clogged up. Or two, your car will only be able to go a certain speed, no further. Like maybe it'll go 54 miles an hour, but it can't go any faster. Sometimes it'll only go 20 miles an hour, not any faster. Then you go to the back, stick your hand on the exhaust when it's cold, start the car up, and if you can feel hardly any pressure coming out, it means the catalytic converter's clogged up. But this isn't anywhere near that. It runs perfectly fine. So it's something that most people, if they live in Tennessee, are just going to say, who cares? Another code here. Power supply low voltage. You see that a lot when they age. Now, the main cause of this low voltage generally is a worn battery. Now, this battery's been replaced, so you probably never erased the code, so we'll just erase the code. And we'll check to see if it comes back after we road test it. Now, the only other code is for the four-wheel drive system. Lost communication with ECM. CAN message. Could be the same thing. You lose communication when the battery gets low. So, again, erase it. Oh, they're all green, so we'll start her up. We'll look at some live data. I'm assuming nobody ever reset the stupid thing. You can graph things if you want. They got graphing capability. You see, it takes a little while for it to fill it in. That's the thing. You get a scan tool that isn't a $5,000 one. It can give you a lot of data, but it's going to take time for that data to fill up. You see, these are empty. Watch. Okay, then they filled up. So it's always a little lag. But if you get all this information, who cares if you have to wait a few seconds, right? I mean, let's face the fact. Full sensor stable. And I can see there's an awful lot of data on this system. It just, like I say, takes a little while to do it. And let's say we want to look at calculated load, okay? We'll do graph. And look, it's graphing it. And if we rev it up, see, it's graphing it. Pretty good graph, too, I got to say. Hey, it's a pretty good scan tool. So here we go on the road test. Of course, there's no backup camera. It's too old, but it's got good view. You're not really missing anything. Doesn't really have blind spots. And the first thing I got to say, look, it's a 4-cylinder engine. It still idles like a dream. Like I said, the only problem is really the CVTs in these. He replaced it at 45,000 miles, and now he probably figures, he said, you'll get another 20,000 miles. Now, if you want, it's got these goofy paddle shifters that do fake shifting. See, look, 6 gear, then we'll go down. And it does rev up higher. I mean, it does something, right? 3, 4, now it's revving less. I mean, you can fiddle around with them if you want. Of course, they're not really gear shifts. And you can even shift down here if you want to do old school, right? Look. And you can see you can go 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, even have a locker. That's why I said it's like a Jeep. You can lock it up if he wants to. Now I got it in D, so we'll just drive it normal. Now, it can be a 4-wheel drive or 2, whatever you want. But I can hear the 4-wheel drive. You're always going to get more noise in a 4-wheel drive vehicle here. You can hear woo, woo, woo. You can hear the differentials making a little bit of noise. It does have 153,000 miles on it, so they make more noise than a 2-wheel drive vehicle would. But it's not too loud. I just don't like that CVT. I would want the V6 with a 6-speed automatic if I was going to buy one of these. Especially since he figures in about 20,000 miles he's going to have to do another CVT transmission. Those giant old Suburbans by us. They use a lot more gas than this thing does. There we go up the hill. Give it a little gas. It does kind of sound like a motorboat. Well, checking out the fire hydrants here. Squirting water up in here. We'll look behind us. There's the squirters. We'll come to a stop here. I don't expect much racing from the CVT 4-cylinder, but let's see what happens. Go! Sounds like a motorboat. If it was an automatic, it'd be zippier, but I mean, we're going 50 now. Not a race car, and let's say we'll go down to 40 and we'll see how it accelerates. There's 40, we'll step on the gas. I mean, it gets there eventually. Makes a lot of noise, like an outboard motor. Maybe a Johnson 5 horsepower or something. I don't know. They're not race cars, these are transportation devices. And hey, aside from the crappy CVT, it's given 153,000 miles of pretty reliable driving. It is made in Japan after all. His wife rode into a ditch, it still tracks straight, no hands on the wheel. I mean, hey. It's a pretty solid built vehicle. Like I said, he says he treats it like a Jeep going off-road. Well, he can put the locker on if he's going to crawl around. Hey, for $6,000, you got a pretty good deal. But on the other hand, if you were looking at a new plug-in hybrid version for $50-something thousand, I think I'd pass on that one. 2.4 liter, it's a reasonable size, and it gets decent gas mileage, and still, it doesn't burn any oil. The engine's been great. Really, for a vehicle that's relatively high up in the air, it doesn't feel bad in these curves. I don't feel like it's going to tipple over or anything. Got decent handling. For something that's 12 years old and 150,000 miles on it. I just feel like I'm driving a motorboat in the way that transmission goes. And it stops perfectly fine. Nice and quiet. Brakes aren't dragging. That's not this. Somebody had some kind of a chainsaw back there. It sounded like this was making a noise, but you notice it's gone. That was something outside. And as we flip roads around, there's a Suburban we just saw. It's driving around in circles like me. And as we come to a stop, none of the check engine lights have come back on, so the codes that were for all the low voltage codes, that was just because at some point in time it had low voltage, and now the low voltage isn't it? But I do have to say I was wrong about the noise, because it just made the noise. You heard it. That's the catalytic converter vibrating. That's probably one of the reasons it's got the inefficient cat code. When they start vibrating like that, it usually means the little ceramic pieces are breaking away from the metal, and then they vibrate. So that's definitely the catalytic converter. It only makes it when you start taking off, and that's often when catalytic converters make noise, when you start taking off. See if it does it again. There it is. That's the catalytic converter starting to vibrate. That's it. So, it still runs good. The temperature, as you can see, is below halfway. It's got plenty of acceleration, so since it lives in Tennessee, who cares? We're not going to buy an expensive catalytic converter and put it on, because it runs perfectly fine. So there you have it, the truth about Mitsubishi Outlanders. If you could find a good used one like he did, he's put 120,000 miles on it. He paid $6,000. You know, what a deal, right? But on the other hand, if you're thinking about buying a brand new plug-in hybrid one, buy a RAV4. It's 10 times better than these. That's 50,000 plus, right? He paid $6,000 for this. Other than the bad CVTs, and you consider the money he spent on that, hey, not that bad of a deal, you know? $6,000 and then $1,600 to fix that, and got 120,000 miles on it. You can't argue with that. Just realize, if you can find one with a regular 6-speed automatic and a V6, snap that baby up. Those are really well made. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.